6, Bridge, Secretary. It is now 6 o'clock. The chair will call this April 16th regular call board meeting to order. Madam Clerk, has the public been duly notified? Okay. And I do confirm a quorum. This time, the chair will ask for a motion to go into executive session for personnel matters.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we go into executive session for personnel matters.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis to go into executive session for personnel matters. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0. Just making a point. Mrs. Green is not here tonight, and she will, she's just having been a little bit under the weather. Let me put it that way. And so we're gonna miss her. And when we do our moments of silence, let's think about her. Okay. At this time, we'll go into executive session, and we will not be long. I can't tell you how long. We won't be long. Thank you. Pull this back up. That's the wrong one. Well, we're into a motion, to come out of executive session, no action taken.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we exit executive session, no actions taken.
A second.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis, to exit executive session, no action taken. All in favor, show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0. I just wanted to welcome everyone to this April 16th, 2024 regular school board meeting. It's a pleasure to look out there in the audience and see so many our very bright students and our principals, teachers, and parents. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and coming to our school board meeting. At this time, we're gonna have approval of the agenda. Huh? Oh, yeah. Excuse me, sorry, you all. We have pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence. That's all. Stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. All right. The chair will act for approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
Second such motion.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Dr. Harris to approve agenda as presented. All in favor, show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0. Thank you. Public comment, secretary. In public. At this time, Dr. Avery, recognitions and presentation.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Chairman Miller, members of the board. Tonight, we're going to recognize our state Beta Club winners who participated in the State Beta Club Convention hosted in Myrtle Beach earlier this year. They engaged in a variety of academic and arts competitions. Notably, numerous students and teams achieved placements and secured their spot to contend for the National Beta Club Convention Awards convention scheduled for June in Savannah, Georgia. At this time, we're going to recognize in this order McCory Liston, Fairfield Elementary, and Fairfield Magnet School. So first, we will begin with McCory Liston. Dr. Green, if you could come down front. Dr. Chandra Bell is the principal, and the sponsors are Dr. Lanisha Tyndall, Dr. Vera Harrison, Sharon King Harris, Kenneth Lawson, Michael Lindsay, and Dr. Belinda Willis. Let's give our sponsors a round of applause. Fifth place in fiber arts, Avery Caldwell. And Dr. Green, we're going to do a group photograph. Roderick Begley, scrapbook, 4th place. Darius Means, scrapbook, 4th place. Kaylee Johnson, scrapbook, 4th place. Micaiah Morgan, mixed media, 3rd place, technology, and 2nd place. And Micaiah earned 2 places, 3rd place, mixed media, and 2nd place, technology. Amir Martin, digital portfolio, 2nd place. Taylor Evans, digital portfolio, 1st place. And the following students earned 1st place in service learning: Alicia Ford, Amira Martin, and Micaiah Morgan, and Kendarius Young. Are there any additional students from Macquarie Liston who need to be recognized in the audience?
Jesus.
Our second school tonight to be recognized is Fairfield Elementary School. Principal Dr. Tammy Martin and Misty Beam sponsor will present the certificates this evening. The sponsors for Fairfield Elementary are Alicia Miller, Miss Misty Bean, and Miss Emily Johnson. Let's give them a round of applause. Two-dimensional design elementary banner, 5th place, Catalea Bullware. Chloe Jacobs. Jacarvi Armstrong. Candice Bullware. Zoe Jeter. Kadir Abney. And in Kadir's absence tonight, his brother Amir will be accepting on his behalf. Several students from Fairfield Elementary School are on a field trip. Amberlyn Lynn Hunter, Mercedes Boyd, Two-Dimensional Design, second place, Akira Robinson. Spanish Individual Award, Chloe Jacobs, fourth place. Golden Ticket Award, Zoe Jeter. She was the premier performer. Our next school is Fairfield Magnet School for Math and Science. The sponsors, Dr. Sarah Tucker, Ms. Kimberly DeReef, Ms. Carlin Unetz, Mr. Rodney Johnson, Ms. Kennedy Crosby, Mr. Chandler Robinson. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, elementary individual awards. Chance Robinson, science, fourth grade, third place. Chance Burns, fifth grade, fifth place, math. Esmerilla Perez Flores, third place, Spanish. Thomas Summers, speech, third place. Jaden Austin, color photography. Damaria Robertson, fourth place, drawing. Kaya Brown, first place, hand-drawn anime. Paris Davis, fifth place, painting. Kenya Pauling, quilling, first place. KVN Sutton, fifth place, sculpture. Dr. Green is doing a good job directing tonight. First place, Service Learning Showcase. And these are several students. Kylie Fishburne, Kaylee Summers, Ahmed El Bayomi, Adeline Haney, and Jamiria. Thank you, Ashford. Next group of students, fourth place quiz bowl, Kai Brown, KVN Sutton, Orlando Williams, and Paris Davis. Performing Arts small group, fifth place, Christian McCullough, Chance Burns, Zayden Gaston, and Mason Perry.
Yeah, baby, see him. Yeah. You gonna put him on the front.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
switch
see
him.
him. Okay.
Okay.
All right, third place Technology, Sandy L. Bayomi, Alea Gatson, Christian McCullough, McKinley Moore, Thomas Summers, Uriel Tidwell, Kai Brown, Paris Davis, Zayden Gaston, Kenya Pauling, and Brianna Watkins.
Take another step up, and we got to take a little bit more room, then we can organize it a little bit. One more step up. One more
We're not done yet. We got more.
step up.
You want to go ahead and take this group picture, or you want to do them all together? All right. Junior Individual Awards, Nehemiah Owens, Poetry, third place. Amaya Cole, Mixed Media, second place. Group Awards, Performing Arts, second place, Mason Perry, Emmanuel McCullough, and Tyreek Mills. Performing Arts Small Group, third place, My Angel Young, My Anna Young, Janiyah Fulton, Brianna Lanier, Amaya Cole, Brianna Watkins, Taylor Brown, J. Maria Ashford. Thank you, Mom. Mackenzie Bryant, Damaria, I had it the first time. Damaria Robertson, my apologies. Digital Portfolio, third place, Xavier Belton, Takia Bird. And lastly, but certainly not least, Two-Dimensional Design, third place, Layla McMillan.
All right. We gotta do this all night. You come on. Right here, the little short one right there.
Y'all ready?
Good, Jalen, just go back.
Everybody ready? Look at me, look at me. 1, 2, 3.
I'm like out for it.
That's nice.
Hold on, y'all. One more star.
I don't know wrong applause. Good stuff. Outstanding. Clap your hand again for our scholars, Better Club scholars. Yes. We're gonna give you a chance to exit. Doc, you don't see him? So what did we do? We just say. No, we got on the agenda, so
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
yeah. You just make a statement that it's about for us. We're supposed to be there to make it. Recognize them.
Bye, y'all. She said, bye, y'all.
Thank you. This time, do we have the Boys and Girls Club? Anyone representing the Boys and Girls Club? If not, we will meet with them another time. At this time, we'll have the board minutes from March the 19th, 2024.
Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a recommendation. We accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the board minutes from the March 19th regular call board meeting.
Second such motion.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Dr. Harris, accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the March 19th, 2024 minutes. All in favor, show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0. This time we will have our superintendent report. Dr. Green.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, it is always an exciting time to be able to recognize our scholars who have excelled at the highest level and who have represented the district in various competitions. As you see, our students perform exceptionally well at the most recent Beta Club convention. In fact, the reason that we are recognizing them in shifts, if you will, is because we have so many students recognized.
Oh, outstanding. Yes, sir.
As a result, we are only recognizing 3 students today. And I'm not sure what the schedule is, but at a later point, we'll recognize students from Giga and Kelly Miller Elementary School. and we'll recognize the students from the middle school and the high school, but there were just too many students to recognize all at one time. So as a result, we are breaking them up into groups. Let me give the boys soccer team a shout out for their win on last week. An excellent job. We are excited about the opportunity that students can participate in a wealth of opportunities from soccer to tennis to orchestra to dance. I'd like to say that we have programs and activities that can accommodate every single young person in our system. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the boys team for a win on last week. Also, varsity baseball is now 10-3. They're undefeated in the region and will take on Keenan High School this Friday for senior night. One of my good buddies, Ms. Harrison, Aaron Bishop, Richmond 2 board chair, son plays for Keenan. And so he and I had a little text exchange over the last couple of days. He wanted to know where there was something good to eat on Friday night. I told him after that whipping, you're not going to want that to eat. Don't worry about getting that to eat. Just come on up.
My great nephew played for Keenan.
Well, he's not going to get that to eat. I mean,
we'll be in the house.
So it is going to be a very good game. Keenan, I think, is 10-2. They're number 2 maybe in the region. We're number 1 in the region. So it's going to be a good game. And the baseball team has asked me, Pastor Jackson, to throw out the first pitch. And so I'm greasing up my pitching arm and getting ready for the first pitch on Friday night. All right. And so it would be a travesty if I went out there and embarrassed myself by throwing the ball in the dirt. So I'm going to do some practice rounds before I get to Friday night. But it's going to be an exciting game Friday at Fairfield Central High School between the Mighty Griffin and the Keenan Raiders. The track team is just doing an exceptional job. The girls 100 meter had recently broke a new school record. That team included Brittany, Essence, Charmel, and Katrine. They set a new school record. The boys 100, which included Ty, Jade, and Jamie, and Roman, also recently set a 100 school record. And so we have been winning lots of awards at the track meet, and we are very excited about the work that they're doing. Hank White set a new school world record in the 1500. And so every time they go to a track meet, I'm hearing about a new school record. I'm hearing about a new PR. I'm hearing about them winning meets. And so we continue to wish them well as they do a phenomenal job of representing the Mighty Griffins. The last thing I want to share with you as a board is that we are in the midst of kind of preparation season. Next month we'll start getting prepared for state testing. And so what happens this month is we do some formative assessment to kind of gauge where we are, looking at whatever kind of last minute preparations that we need to make. And I'll tell you that as I talk to principals, as I have been for the last several years, very pleased with where we are relative to this point in the year. And we have seen tremendous academic growth. All we need now is for our young people to show it on the assessment. Okay, so we're seeing it, Pastor Jackson, on our formative assessment, but now we get to the comprehensive summative assessment. We just need for our young people to show what they know. And I am absolutely confident that they will do so. So if you have an opportunity to make it on Friday to the baseball game, you will not only get an opportunity to see a good game, but you will get to see this firearm that I have as well. Wow. You get a 2-for-1 deal. Come on out.
Look at y'all. I seen Dr. Bro. And the only thing I want to let you know on that side, that right-hand side, you better have a net up there. Because it may go any kind of way.
Wow. But that's those are the updates that I have.
Okay. Under your report, we have a overnight
Yeah.
field trip also. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so the next item, we have 2 overnight and out-of-state field trip requests. Elite Ladies is taking their end of the year trip to Nashville, Tennessee. Bowtie Club will be traveling to Washington, D.C. As you know, our mentoring initiatives do an end of the year trip every year. I've had an opportunity to take these young people to Louisville, to Atlanta. We've gone several places. Ms. Brown is taking the Elite Ladies to Florida. I bet y'all ever gone to Washington. I don't know if y'all been to Washington. They've been to Atlanta. And I can tell you my young people look forward to it. But it's some work. Anybody who wants to take 30, 40, 50, 60 young rambunctious people out of town, it's not anything where you're gonna be relaxed. I think I told y'all the story. I took a group to Atlanta from last year, and I got up to the room, everybody checked in the room, and before I could even put my things down, one of the kids told me, said, Dr. Green, we got a bunch of kids in the pool. I said, pool? Tell everybody there ain't no trunks or nothing for no pool. I go downstairs, you got folks all in the pool, and half of them can't even swim. Get out that pool. But before you know it, they were down there in the pool with no swim trunks, just short pants. But it's always an experience when we get our young people out of town. They go and experience some things that maybe they otherwise may not have.
Sure.
But we'll go to some very interesting sites in DC. We've gone to DC in years past, but we undoubtedly will take a trip to the African American History Museum, probably Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, and several other sites as well. So, looking forward to an opportunity to take our young people out of town. And so when people say, JR, you are taking a vacation with these students, it's not a vacation for me. Okay? It ain't chaperone. There's no vacation. That is a full-time job, Mr. Miller. I can almost show you, if I take my blood pressure when we load up, it'll be a whole lot better than when we get back. All right, because you working the entire time making sure you don't leave anybody's child wherever you took them. So parents are always excited about the experience, and we are excited about the opportunity to provide the experience. So I present that to you for your approval.
Can we get a motion, please?
Chairman Miller,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent recommendation that the board approve the overnight out-of-state field trip request for May 10th, May 12th, 2024 for the Elite Ladies of Fairfield County School District to Nashville, Tennessee, and the Bowtie Club to Washington, D.C., providing I get a second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, second by Pastor Jackson to approve the superintendent recommendation for the Elite Ladies to Tennessee, and as well as the Bowtie Club to Washington, D.C. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0.
And Mr. Chair, I'll just end on this note. Anyone in the listening audience or board members, if you want to join me as a chaperone on the trip, give me a call. And if I want to join as a chaperone on this trip, just give me a call, and I'm sure Ms. Brown feels the same way. You can never have too much help.
All right, Doc. Let me check with Calvin. Curriculum and instructions. Dr. Avery. Go right ahead.
Okay. Good evening. For your approval are several field trips, overnight field trip requests from Fairfield Magnet, Kelly Miller, Fairfield Middle School, Fairfield Central, Fairfield Career and Technology Center, along with McCory Liston. Several of these trips include trips to overnight trips to Charleston, Savannah, Georgia, Myrtle Beach, and Orangeburg, South Carolina. The recommendation, the superintendent recommends the board approve the overnight out-of-state field trip request as submitted.
Chairman Miller, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent recommendation that the board approves the overnight field trips request as submitted.
Second such motion.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, second by Dr. Harris to approve the overnight field trip. Overnight field trip request as submitted. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0.
The second item
Mhm.
is the first reading of policies JICFB, which is the student policy for the Gavin's Law implementation, and policy GBEBE, which is the Gavin's Law for implementation. And Gavin's Law was named after Representative Brandon Guffey's son, Gavin Guffey. The General Assembly on last year passed a new law establishing sexual extortion and abrogated felony extortion as criminal offenses and setting prison sentences for each. Based on the state policy, we, as the school district and you as the board, are required to approve a board policy. For your approval, the superintendent recommends the approval of policy JICFB, Gavin's Law, for the student or students, and policy GBEBE, Gavin's Law implementation for the staff. Both policies were written by our district attorneys, and as stated before, the same policy will be used for both the students and the staff.
Can we get a motion?
Chairman Milton. Oh,
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the first reading of the policy JICFB, Gavin's Law implementation, student, and policy GBEBE, Gavin's Law implementation staff.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis. Accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the policy JICFB, Gavin's Law implementation, and policy GBEBE, Gavin's Law implementation. Can we call for a question before we vote? Dr. Avery, can you elaborate and explain this to us a little bit more?
Sure. This particular policy, as I stated, was initiated by a representative, and based on the information or based on the incident that happened with his son, unfortunately, his son committed suicide as a result of being extorted because unfortunately, someone received some pictures of him, some very sexual, explicit pictures of him, and those pictures were shared throughout his school. And as a result of what happened to his son, the representative felt the need to go ahead and lead efforts, not only be elected to the General Assembly, but he was one of the main authors of the specific law that would ensure that this never happens to another child. And so basically, our charge as a school district as a result of this law is to make sure that we as a district communicate to our families and our students, first, the importance of not sharing those explicit photographs and or videos. And then secondly, we make, with your approval tonight and your final approval in next month, then we would include in our code of conduct, there will be a consequence if in fact a student does engage in sexual extortion.
Anybody got any other questions for Dr. Avery? Any other questions? Dr. Green?
Yeah, if I could just add one more piece to that, obviously this is a concerning trend in terms of cyberbullying that is occurring throughout the country. And technology can be good and bad. We've seen many instances across the country where people have really created images that weren't even shared by individuals. And so they have technology now where they can take my head and put it on somebody else and blind it. I mean, they can do things to really create a false perception of reality. Okay, and so it's very important that people recognize that these things are not just fun and games. Sometimes our young people want to do things and they do it all in the name of fun, but they can have dire consequences, as Dr. Avery shared with this particular young man who eventually committed suicide, because once that happens, you can't bring him back. So it's important to recognize the seriousness of engaging in what some people think are fun and games.
Right, the motion was made by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis to accept the superintendent to approve the first reading of JIC FB, Gavin's Law, and also GBEBE, Gavin's Law implementation. First reading, all in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be-
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Avery. Finance and operation.
Good evening, the
Yes,
board,
sir. Good evening.
Dr. Green. This evening under operations and finance, we have two items. The first item is just for your information, and that is the finance report for the month of March 2024. And everything looks as expected in terms of our revenues and expenditures. I will tell you that one of the things that we do know about this year that will be favorable for us in terms of our final numbers is that we do have, we found out that we can take the bonuses that we still have to pay next month, in the month of May, and that can be paid for out of ESSER. That's something that's changed in the most recent past with the ESSER funds. So since those funds are currently in our general fund, that will be a surplus for us in terms of those bonuses. That should be roughly $1 million for the bonuses. So that will end up helping us out with our general fund balance for this current year, but everything else looks as we expect in terms of our revenues and expenditures. So this is submitted for just for information purposes.
As far as the millage, we're not raising millage, everything's the same.
No, sir. And I'll get to that in a second. It was just the finance report for this year, but the budget presentation, I'll get to that, but no, we're
I thought we
not.
were doing the first reading.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the next item. So if we're done with the finance report, then the second item on the agenda is the first reading of the budget for the fiscal year 24-25. And the superintendent is recommending board approval of the first reading of the fiscal year 24-25 budget in the amount of $46,947,449, which includes millage of 203.1, which is still the same as the previous year.
Wow.
So that's for that first reading for the motion for board approval. So for the presentation this evening, I'll just start off with an overview. So our proposed budget for next year will be $46.9 million, which is $1.2 million higher than our current budget. And we are proposing that we'll use $1.1 million from the fund balance to balance the budget for next year. You may not recall, but last year when we finished our fiscal year, we had a surplus. And what we told the board at the time is that we wanted to use $1 million of last year's surplus to pay for salary increases in future year's budget. So basically the money that we put into the fund balance last year, we're now proposing to use that money out of the fund balance to help balance the budget for the next fiscal year. There is no proposed millage increase. So the millage will stay the same per our proposal, which is 203.1 mills. And there are no proposed increase in the number of staff positions. So we have the same number of staff positions in the budget proposed for next year that we do for this year. The teachers will receive salary increases in accordance with the current proposals from the state, and classified and administrative employees will also receive a salary increase, which will be a 2% increase to the salary scale, plus they'll also move up a step. So it'll equate to roughly 4% for classified and administrative employees. And then the final thing for next year, once again, we do have the bonuses included in the budget for next fiscal year. The same amount, $5,000 for certified and $3,000 for our classified employees. So that's really just an overview of the budget, the major points in the budget. And I'll just kind of quickly talk about the revenue piece, just to show you how our changes in revenue compare to last year. So we have increases in all of our categories. So right there in the top right, we're expecting to have about $250,000 more in local tax revenues. And of course, the local tax revenues really, that's primarily driven by our business and utility taxes. As you're aware, we have one very large taxpayer that we're grateful for that makes up approximately 60% of our local tax revenue. And so, when their value goes up significantly, that of course adds to our revenues. But if it decreases, that also impacts our overall revenues. Just based on what we received this year and an analysis of the taxes this year, we don't anticipate much of an increase, but we won't really know until all of the tax revenues, all of the assessments are made, which will occur in the fall. So right now, we're just being conservative and anticipating about $250,000 in additional tax revenue due to slight increases in the property taxes. The second item that we anticipate an increase is wrong button. The state salary and benefit revenues. So we receive money from the state to help reimburse us for some of the salaries and benefits for our employees. So for example, for retiree benefits, for health insurance, and like bus driver salaries and increases, we get extra money from the state for that. So right now we're projected to get about $192,000 additional revenue to help pay for some of the salaries and benefits that we have in the budget. And then the largest item there in the gray, right now, due to the legislative proposals, we're anticipating receiving about $247,000 additional monies in the state aid to classrooms. And those are the funds that the state gives us to pay for our overall operations, to fund things in the classrooms and just overall district operations. And then the next item in the gold, we have funds that we receive as state tax reimbursements. So we're anticipating about $213,000 of an increase in that category. And the state tax reimbursements are reimbursements we get from the state to make up for the lost revenue that we had when they abolished the residential property taxes. So back in around 2007 to 2008, they passed Act 388, which means that the districts no longer receive operational taxes on residentials. And so in lieu of that year, they then gave all of the districts money from the state's general funds and additional local sales tax. And so now every year they increase that amount. And so we're anticipating about $213,000 in additional funds there. And then the final category of revenues in the top left, other transfers, that's primarily the increase in the fund balance that we will be using. Last year, we used about $700,000 roughly, and this year it's about $1.1 million that we're anticipating using for the budget for next year to balance the budget. So those are the categories that make up the total increases in our revenue for next year. And so now for our expenditures, really the bulk of our expenditures really is all in salaries and benefits. We don't really have a lot of changes in the other categories, so I'll just talk primarily about the increases for salaries and benefits. As I mentioned earlier, and one of the primary reasons that we'll have an increase is due to the change in the teacher salary schedule. So the legislature has proposed teacher salary changes to increase teacher salaries. And one of the key changes is that now the state's minimum schedule, which is currently 23 years, will now go up to 28 years. And as you probably are aware, our schedule stops at 23. So in order to be in accordance with the state proposal, that means now all of our teachers will now move up to 28, provided that they have the commensurate years of experience. So we no longer have that be frozen at 23 years. So there will be an increase for that, as well as the increase to all of the sales per the state's proposal. Also, the classified and administrative scale will have all of employees will typically get a step increase. Because we are increasing the teacher salary scale to 28 years, we also propose to increase the administrative and classified scale to 28 steps as well. Right now, that is at 23. So that means anyone who is currently at 23 in a classified and administrative scale would next year move up to step 24. And we're also proposing to increase the overall scale by 2%. The other major increase that accounts for the increases in salary and benefits is that there will be right now a proposed 5.9% increase in the district's portion of our health insurance. So we pay a significant portion for health insurance in addition to the part that the employee pays. And right now, it appears as though it'll be close to 6% increase for health insurance costs. And of course, as I mentioned, we still are proposing to do the bonuses, and that amount will remain the same at $5,000 for certified, $3,000 for classified staff. As I mentioned earlier, our ESSER funds, they end in September of this year. So after that, we have enough to get us through our bonuses for this year. But in 25, 26, we'll have to see how things fall out in terms of just continuing with our bonuses. But we feel confident that everything's good for this year in terms of the bonuses. Just some of the other categories, I'll just briefly talk about those. So our purchase services, I'll just talk to you about some of the major expenditures we have in those categories. Not much of an increase, about $42,000. We have a significant portion of that is tied up in our school resource officers. We do receive some funding from the state for the school resource officers. We also have significant portion of the purchase services category is for just repair contractors, substitutes, and our property and liability insurance is another major portion of that category. And then not much of a change under supplies and materials. About 50% of that really is just utility costs for our electricity and gas costs. And fortunately, those costs are staying about the same. We have made some changes to some of our HVAC equipment and some lighting, which does help us in terms of our efficiency there. And the other really significant category we have would be the final one, which are transfers. And most of that is the payment that we make to Chester County for the Midford students. Now, we are anticipating an increase of about $35,000 in that category. And that's driven by two things. Either the number of students will increase, but that number has been going down. But the amount we pay per student is based on Chester's local revenues and tax revenues in their budget. So as their revenues go up, that means that the amount we pay per student increases. And so their revenue increases for their taxes is kind of offset the decreases in the number of students. So we're still seeing some increases in that area, even though the number of students we're paying for is actually decreasing.
Mr. Robinson, right, saying something about that. Obviously, this has been a sticky subject over the years. Our requirement to pay the local contribution for the Milford student. For those folks who may not be aware, this is something that ended up going to litigation. The decision from the courts were that we were obligated to pay their local contribution. And very often, I think we do not account for the significance of that contribution. As you see, we're talking about close to $800,000, and I'm not sure all of that is probably some other transfer.
No. Yeah, the only other thing in there is the for the Fairfield Promise, that's about 75,000. So the rest of it is primarily the Midford.
Primarily Chester. And so it's important to recognize that as Chester increases their local contribution, we are required to pay Chester more. Sometimes I think people say, well, it's based on Fairfield local contribution, not based on Fairfield local contribution. As long as Chester continues to have new industry and they continue to increase their local contribution, our responsibility to what we pay will continue to increase. Okay. And as you see, this is a pretty significant amount of money.
That's the way they wrote it.
And that's based on what now?
That's the way they wrote it.
Yes. Yeah. So any questions about the Chester contribution? I want to provide some clarity, because as you see the numbers increasing, I want to verify that it's not because we are paying for more students. It's Mr. Robinson indicated, actually the number of students have been going down, but as new industry goes to Chester, then Chester's local contribution continue to get higher. And as their contributions get higher, then our responsibility becomes greater.
Okay. So that's all I have. Just to summarize, we do have a balanced budget that will require us to use about $1.1 million out of the fund balance. And there is, again, no millage increase in the requested budget. So the district is just requesting the first reading approval of a budget of $46,947,449, which includes millage of 203.1 mils.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes,
I'm gonna ask you this question right here, and I could see it on the board. Just that most of our taxes, revenue is going into salaries and benefits, and the way I counted up, that's literally 40 million out of the 47 million, 46 million. So it's only, 7 million or 6 point so many millions just left, because most of it is going to salary.
that's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Anybody got any questions? Oh, yeah. We're gonna do. Can we get a motion, please?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve the first reading of the fiscal year 24-25 budget in the amount of $46,947,449, and which includes millage of 203.1.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis, accept the superintendent recommendation for the first reading, which includes $46,947,449, in which no millage increase of 203.1. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would pass 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. This time, human resource.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chairman and members of the board. Under HR this evening, we have the following items for your approval. Item 1, certified resignations and terminations. Recommended action, the superintendent recommends the board approve certified educator resignation terminations to be effective at the conclusion of the 2023-24 academic year as outlined in Exhibit 1.
Chairman Miller,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation that we approve the certified educator resignation termination to be effective at the conclusion of 2023-2024 academic school year presented in Exhibit 1, providing I get a second.
Second such motion.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, second by Dr. Harris, to accept the superintendent recommendation to approve certified educators resignation termination effective of 2023-2024 academic school year. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 6-0.
Next, we have item 2, certified recommendations. Recommended action, the superintendent recommends the board approve certified educators for the 24-25 academic year as presented in Exhibit 2A, 2B, and 2C.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, we accept the superintendent recommendation to approve certified educators for the 24-25 academic year, Exhibit 2A, 2B, and 2C.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Dr. Reverend Jackson, to accept the superintendent recommendation. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
This time we have our board chair report updates. Let me first thing I'd say is that we want to make sure that we have so many good things going on in the community, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone come out to the Blair Day Parade on April the 27th. It's a historic event. Hope you all come out and enjoy the parade. Delicious food, and you ain't got to pay for nothing. So I just wanted you to, everyone is welcome. Okay. Also, we have our we do have the middle school is having a banquet, an athletic banquet, which is on April the 30th. And then, what's that? Your birthday? All right, happy birthday! You can be there, but they're planning some good things. They had invited the whole board, so I'm hoping that the whole board can come to the middle school. Dr. Dixon as well as Coach Wilkinson. They want us to come to their athletic banquet. Okay. So we're looking forward to that. Also, let me say this right here. We first of all, before I go any further, anybody got any comments? Any? Okay, go right ahead.
First, I want to thank the board for nominate me to run for state regional director.
Okay.
And Jackie Wallace for helping me to submit my application. Everything is submitted. I'm waiting on, the interview is in July, and then the slate will be voted on in December. So thank y'all for that. We're just patiently waiting on that. Also, Dr. Green, I picked up my scholarship application today. I had so many from Fairfield and Richard Wynn. And I am gonna award 11 scholarships this year in the amount of
Wonderful.
$500 each.
Awesome.
I appreciate, the donations and, all the folks that has been supporting me over the last 14 years. So, that's one thing, that's my baby, and I really look forward to that every year. And I think these kids was looking forward to it this year because they did them applications. So I'm happy about that. And I was able to go to the day at the Capitol, and I think Mr. Miller signed email out about the insurance. And so Senator Martin did propose that school boards be included in the state insurance. Um, he said that every elected official is included, but school boards, and we have to do the same things that everybody do. But the catch is they're not paying for it. You just be able to, you pay for it on your own, but I guess you'll get it at whatever rate they get it at. And so it was a lot of back and forth about that. I was actually in the room with them going back and forth about it. So they actually they table it. So, and for whatever reason, some of them don't want school boards to be included in the insurance. And I actually did the survey when they sent it out about it. I am self-employed, but I always had insurance, and my insurance probably paid better than the state. So it didn't really matter to me, but if somebody actually need it and they can actually get it through the state with a discounted price, I think they need to be included in it. So I don't even know why it was such a big deal. And they also, and I forget to send the name, I wrote it down, but I left the papers at home. So they had $120 million set aside for districts that need help, like building new schools or upgrading their schools. Well, he claimed that nobody is getting the money. So he wants to move $20 million out. Do you know what I'm talking about? He wants to take $20 million out and put it into safety because he's saying that nobody is using the money. So Mike Fanny Senator Fanny questioned him about that. So he kind of changed it. Well, they said that, I guess his aide came and said it was applications in about the money for the low, the rural communities, the ones that really don't have the funds to upgrade their schools or either build new schools. So I don't see why anybody wouldn't apply for the money. But initially he said nobody wasn't applying, but then they came back and said it was. So they tabled that, but they pretty much tabled everything when I was there. So nothing really got passed. So the Juneteenth celebration is in June 15. We're getting numerous of applications. I think everybody's pretty much excited about the second year, and we are also excited about that. So we're still taking applications. All the way up until May. I'm not sure the date is in May that we're gonna have to end it because last year was just too many. We was getting calls all the way up to midnight, and I'm not gonna do that this year. And then we're doing the pack of trunk. It's for 2 seniors. We're gonna pull a name, a girl and a boy, that's going to college. So we're asking for donations, whatever you think children need to go to college. It could be cleaning products, hygiene products, towels, whatever you want to fill this trunk with. I already have the trunk. I purchased them already, and we have already started getting supplies in. So everybody is welcome to give. Whatever you want to give is okay with me, as long as we know that that's what they need to go to college. So that's all I got.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else got?
Chairman Miller,
Yes, sir.
first of all, I'd like to commend Dr. Green on his award this weekend, the
Okay.
Gold Lifetime Achievement Award.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the whole board couldn't make it, but we all wish you the best. I'm pretty sure that it's a well-deserved award, and everything was great. And I'm very proud that you are superintendent, you received that award. Got a little announcements. I'm gonna go through this real quick. First thing, I'd like to congratulate my wife on finishing phlebotomy school, which she planning on going a little further now. At first she had a little doubts about doing it, but now that she's in it, I guess it's in her blood, so she want to do it. So her graduation be July. Second of all, I know last time we talked about my daughter getting married. And you know how they say when we was coming up, if a parent asks you something, they already know. So we received the news that she be expecting her second child, which would be our fifth grandchild.
Okay.
So again, I'm happy for them on that. They tried to surprise us, but like, hey, we already knew. We just waiting on y'all to tell us. We got the sensational senior citizen expo, which is next month, which will be feeding all the senior citizens in Fairfield County.
Mhm.
We have the schools gonna be providing entertainment such as some dancers, the orchestra, chorus, beta club coming out. We're trying to get the youth involved in it. That way they can learn how to give back and, appreciate our seniors. This is going to be a big event. I was just informed that one of our sponsors, which is attorney, is going to write a will for free for one of the winners. We're going to have some gift certificates going to be given out for like gas, food, all kind of variety of different things. Again, that's going to be on May 17th from 11 to 2 p.m. at the Old Armory. It's going to be a free event. Going to have well care providers out there. Lions Club going to be doing vision as well. I know it's a little early, but every year I always feed the graduating class. Me and Mr. Siebels, we go out there and, we feed the seniors. So we asking any of the board members that like to come out to be a part of that. We really appreciate it, because the kids, they enjoy, the food, they're getting out about to graduate and everything. And, we just want to show our respect and thank them for doing what they need to complete their degree. And last but not least, Pastor Jackson, that day, your grandson will be shadowing me. Joshua Peoples, he's going to be one of the reporters that's going to be covering the story and stuff and taking pictures and doing little interviews with it. So we're excited about that. And hope you can come out and see your grandson in action. I think that's it for me.
Okay, that's it. Anybody else got any more? Well, thank y'all for those announcements. It's not about me. And when I say it's board chair reported, but it's not just the board chair. It's all board members that they have some things going. At this time, we want to go here to Mid-State Technology Institute. Mr. Sis, come up for a minute, please. Just want to hear some things. We're going to get ready to.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Yeah.
Board.
Just wondering, do we have any questions, Mr. Sis? How many programs do you plan on, just starting off with?
Well,
with
we're
your
gonna do
mission?
one at a time.
Okay. And what's the one you plan on doing?
Can we get a motion first? Mr. Miller, before we do the question for Mr. Sis, what is item?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian. Can we get a motion? Huh? Hmm? What? You said 5 years.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the Mid-State Technical Institute's proposal for lease of land at Gordon at Gordon Elementary School for a period of 5 years.
Is that the bottom section? We want to make sure we're clear.
Yes, the bottom section of Gordon Elementary.
I second.
All right,
My question.
and we a question. Mr. Sis,
Yes.
just asking you, kind of tell the board more, programs you're gonna use down there.
Okay. In the very bottom where what was the playground, on the other side of the fence from the parking lot will be a above ground raised bed, excuse me, for vegetables for our elderly and disabled. As it drops down to the bottom will be an open garden, for common vegetables and fruits.
That's what we're gonna start off with.
Yes, sir.
Then, did you say something about Fairfield Forward? Can you kind of explain who they are and,
Yes, sir. Fairfield Forward, in fact, the lady just left.
okay,
Fairfield Forward is a group of agencies and nonprofits that have come together to help Fairfield County. As their name implies, Fairfield Forward. If I can, Miss Wendy back here in the back is over the Fairfield County Community Food Bank. She was here. Miss Angie Connors from Council on Aging was here. My staff, Dr. Kelly was here. Our Sheriff our sheriff he had to go to a medical problem this afternoon. So he was not able here. Kenny Belton, another board member, was not able. And we have one position open. I'm hoping to fill it very soon. That person knows who we're talking about. And, we're just trying to help people in Fairfield. That is the whole number one thing. The garden, everything is to help people in Fairfield.
anybody got any questions for Mr. Sis?
Mr. Sis,
Yes, ma'am.
who's doing all the work? Who's gonna do all this work? It sounds like a lot to do to get it started. Who are you using to do all this work?
Working through Fairfield Forward to do this as far as funding and operations.
So they got people that will come and actually,
Yes, sir.
Man.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. And I do have a list of quite a few people who have requested to come down and work in the garden.
Any more questions? Okay,
Didn't you, say, something about a board, that, your board members, are the board members here?
We operate under a nonprofit, which we have a 5-member board. Dexter Rabb is our vice president. The sheriff is our board member. Pete Jackson here is a board member. Dr. Kelly sitting beside me, he had to leave. He is a board member. Kenny Belton was not able to make this meeting. He's a board member, and we have one position vacant.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
No. Can I know he's the only one here, Mr. Jackson. Can he kind of share with us about his involvement in this project?
Sure.
I'm going on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Afternoon. Kind of caught me in the mix of doing some things, but What I would be doing is we actually sitting in and assisting them and helping out with some of the investigations of who are some of the people that he's going to be bringing in. And that's pretty much where I'm at this point.
Could find a better person for
Volunteer.
Yeah. Motion was made by by Mr. Siebel, second by Mr. Davis to give a motion regarding the Mid-State Technical Institute rental agreement for the uses of the Old Gordon Odyssey Academy facility, bottom floor. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right.
I didn't go.
And we have one more, superintendent relocation. We have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion, the terms of Dr. Green's relocation, contract provided that the district pay the cost of his moving expenses when he moved to the district 12 years ago. In light of the service he has rendered to the district during the tenure of here, I move that the board also authorize that Dr. Green be reimbursed for reasonable moving expenses in his relocation from the district.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Harrison, second by Mr. Davis, for relocation fee for Dr. Green. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. That would be 0. This time, can we get a motion?
Chairman Miller, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Davis, second by Pastor Jackson. We adjourn. All in favor show by the raising of the right hand. It's 6-0. Meeting adjourned. Oh, man. Anyway.